Yo, what's up guys? This is the Insane Game Freak here, and here to bring you essentially me giving my thoughts on the three games that are being talked about a lot right currently. And that would be Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi, and Naruto Generations. And I'm just going to give my thoughts on three. And I could have made three separate videos, but at this point it seems kind of redundant, so I might as well just get all three of them out of the way, because I'm trying to get more back into the groove of gaming videos. Also, for anyone who wants to know, I'm going to start trying to do gameplay tests to see if I can actually get away with doing gameplay on a partner channel, because I want to do that for Catherine. And you'll see my new type of gaming-ish review for that, but we'll see how that goes anyway. But anyways, getting past that, let's talk about these three games that are coming out. I think Generations is the one that's coming out the latest, so that one will probably be last. And we'll start this off with the recently announced, and the one that comes out in November, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, I do own this game. I own the first edition. I own the collector's edition of this edition, which means I got the fucking online comic thing, and I got Jill and Shuma and Goroth. Yay. Which is funny, because I barely use any of them. I think I fucked with them a few times, but for the most part, I don't even use those two characters. Now, if you're like me and you actually bought that version, and if you bought the collector's edition of it, essentially if you bought the first Marvel vs. Capcom 3, in the gaming community, you're kind of being laughed at because of, ha 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 ha, you've wasted your money, and here comes a better game for $20 less. And here's my thing. To get out of the way what I care, how I feel about the game is essentially a DLC. It's DLC turned into a game. They essentially took the same game and put all the DLC they had planned for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then they released it on a disc. That's essentially what it is. It's essentially Marvel vs. Capcom 3 with all the DLC added. It seems kind of dumb and stupid to me for it to be. But then again, everyone's been talking shit about Capcom for many reasons. For one, I believe they canceled Mega Man Legends 3, so a lot of people are pissed off about that. And then on top of that, they're milking the shit out of the Marvel vs. Capcom series. And they're doing the same thing with this series that they did on Street Fighter, where there's three fucking versions of Street Fighter. So instead of me wasting my money on the Ultimate Edition, I'm just gonna wait until they do what they did with Street Fighter and have, like, what was it, Third Strike Arcade Edition, where like, if you already bought the game, you could just get the DLC, and I'm just gonna do that when, like, the third version of this game is coming out. And that's what it is, because honestly, none of these characters I give a shit about playing as. None of them. It's like, for the most part, like, most of these are either for popularity reasons or because of franchises that I don't really give a shit about. Like for Virgil. Virgil's probably one of the bigger names in the 12 other characters we get. I'm not into Devil May Cry enough for me to give a shit about Virgil. I barely use Dante. I'm not good with Dante, ironically. I just don't like using Dante. Dante's kind of a last resort choice. I was kind of hoping for other characters. The only two characters I might care about playing as is either Strider Ryu or Ghost Rider. And it's not enough to warrant me to pick up the game, because now it's not like with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 when I was debating on getting the game. I was basing that off of the gameplay, the characters, everything. On this game, I am solely basing it off of the extra features. Spectator mode, don't give a shit enough. 8 extra stages isn't a big enough deal. And the 12 characters, I say half of them I don't care about. Actually, it's more than half. But half of them are ones that either I don't know of or don't care for. And if, you know what, I'm just going to say this. Rocket Raccoon. Just take every joke you've heard so far relating to this character and how no one knows him, and just throw it into this little blank spot right here. I'll wait. Okay, so, I mean, honestly, the character rosters, like, the additional characters aren't doing it. It's like you gave me Finks Ray. That was totally out of popularity, not because we thought he'd be a badass in the game. The same thing would go for Frank West, which is even dumber because I can play as Frank West in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, And something in my mind makes me think he's gonna have the exact goddamn same moveset. So I'm not missing anything. And then again, I'm not a huge fan of his series anyway. But then again, that's just me. So it's not really a big enough deal. I don't care. It's like I bought the first game. I can just play that. Yeah, okay, fine. There's not gonna be DLC for it until the third version comes out. It's like if you have the game already, there's no reason to buy it. And if you're a smart gamer and you don't want to just play it now, I mean, you're a smart gamer if you didn't buy the first one anyway. So you could either buy this one or you can buy the third version. I'm gonna just buy the third. I'm just gonna get the DLC, add-on for the third version. That the third version is obviously gonna have, because this game's gonna get horrible reception for many reasons. For one, the first game isn't even a fucking year old. So I already know that's gonna start some shit. That's already pissed off the fans who bought the first version of the game. The fact that there is no DLC link like there should be. And then on top of that, the newer fans, the ones who didn't buy that version, either are gonna be dumb enough to buy this one or smart enough to say fuck this either. I'm not expecting this to get good reception. It's not going to get good reception. You're kind of just trying to kill a series at this point. And if that's what you're going for, Capcom, good job. You already got the Mega Man fans pissed off at you. I don't know why you just keep shooting yourself in the foot. But whatever, that's really all I have to say on Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3. I don't care. I'm not getting the game. I'm just going to wait until like the third or fourth version comes out and it actually has a DLC link. Because this is going to force them to make one. The reception they're going to get for this game is going to be so bad, I'm betting they're going to make a DLC port. And if they don't, oh the fuck well, I can just buy the game in like a year for like $20 or $10. Because that's how much it will eventually go for. It's starting off at $40, when the original version 5 months ago started off at $60. I'm not expecting this shit to stay at $40 for long, because people aren't going to give a fuck. I mean, for God, Jesus Christ, I heard you can't even trade in the fucking original and get anything good off of, mainly due to the fact that the new one, I mean the first version, isn't worth shit now because of the Ultimate Edition, so fuck it. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on that. So let's go into Dragon Ball Z. And this is actually going to be more of a rant on the Dragon Ball gaming series than it is about the game itself. I mean, the only thing about the game so far that I actually give a damn about is character creation. That's it. Is that enough for me to buy another Dragon Ball Z game? Not really. It's kinda, but not really. Like Dragon Ball Z, I don't know how some of you Dragon Ball Z gamers are, but me personally, it gets reborn. It turns into like Madden NFL syndrome, where it gets repetitive as shit because you keep getting the same goddamn game every fucking year. Every fucking year. It's like, geez, it's like, and there's nothing new in the games. At least people who buy the Naruto games, I can be like, well, this one took place during part 1, or this one took place during the Gar Rescue arc, and this one takes place in Pain. I can see people buying consecutive that. But for Dragon Ball Z, it's essentially been the same set of characters and the same storylines. Everything's the same in all the games. There's like no hugely new characters. I think the biggest new characters you added, your shit you had to make up, which was Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Broly, which I don't like Vegeta enough for me to give a shit. I really don't care about playing as Vegeta. And Broly, I don't care about playing as Broly. It's like there was no. I've only played, me personally, the Dragon Ball Z game I stopped at, the newest Dragon Ball Z game I stopped at was Tenkaichi 3 on the Wii. After that, there was no reason. Like, literally, there was no reason. It's like, oh, it's PS3 and Xbox 360. Well, back then, I didn't have either, so that was one reason. The other reason was just, they become repetitive. They become repetitive and boring. I don't know people who get hyped for Dragon Ball Z games anymore. And if you do, I don't understand why, unless you were, like, the generation who started falling in love with Dragon Ball Z with, like, Kai and shit. Because no one really plays Dragon Ball Z games as seriously as they used to, because half of the excitement for these anime-based games is usually its ongoing story. If it's the first of its kind, and there's a sequel, I'm cool with that. But Dragon Ball Z ended a while ago, and we've had a slew of games which essentially have been different fighting sets for the same damn game. The character creation is something that's cool, but I don't really give a shit about playing as much Dragon Ball Z games. Like, in terms of Dragon Ball Z games, it gets repetitive. It gets really repetitive and boring. Because it's so... I mean, that's really the only thing I have to say about Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi, because the rest of the game is essentially like the other goddamn Dragon Ball Z games. It's the same goddamn game. That's just me. I don't know how your guys' opinion is, and please tell me in the comments, but me, it's the same goddamn game. There's nothing drawing me into this except for the character, the recently announced character customization. That's pretty much it. Because they're repetitive. They're like Madden, and they come out too often. I think that's the other reason. They come out way too fucking often. If there was more of a gap in between games, it probably wouldn't piss me off as much. But it's annoying because it's something I kind of just don't care about. It really is. And that's just my opinion. And then the final thing is wow. The fact that Sonic Generations, I've been talking about that for a while. My brain is not really focusing on Naruto Generations right now. Oh yeah, Naruto Generations. I already see like one major problem with this game. I see, for one, it's a Storm 2.5, which is kind of leaning me towards the whole fucking I keep calling it Sonic Generations. Naruto Generations is essentially like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which means it's essentially a whole bunch of add-ons to the same damn game. The difference, I believe, in Generations is that it's going to have so many more characters. It's essentially all the Part 1 characters that they didn't include in the second game versus all the old school characters. Versus all the new school characters. This in itself isn't really interesting enough for me to want to get the game. I'm just going to wait until Ultimate Ninja Storm 3. Me personally, because what they're going to do is they're going to give us all of this, what they're giving us in Generations, and then give us a whole bunch of more shit. Maybe some war-related material. I'm not totally sure. Well, no, I remember, because they said they're not going to do Storm 3 until Naruto ends. So I'm just going to wait until Storm 3. There's no point. Like, if you're a Naruto fan, you really want to if you really want another Naruto game because Storm 2 got tired for some reason, which I don't see why. I don't feel like this is enough of a reason to go out and buy a whole new game. I would just wait until Storm 3 and get the whole goddamn package. And then, then the Naruto games will become like the Dragon Ball Z games and get really fucking repetitive. That's just me. That's my opinion. All I'm saying is, I think it's worth the money. It's kind of on the fence with me. Because they've already admitted that it's essentially a Naruto 2.5. There's nothing really changed in terms of gameplay. It's essentially the same goddamn gameplay. So it's essentially a Naruto Storm 2.5. They're shortening the jutsus even more. And I believe the additions they've mentioned so far is like the Part 1 characters, Zabuza, Haku. We're probably gonna get the sound for. I know I've seen Raikage in a boss battle. In a fight already, which means it's gonna go all the way up to the Kage Summon arc probably. I think that's where it's gonna stop. And I believe that's it. I believe that's where we're at. And it's not really enough for me to warrant it. It's not like my need for Naruto games are that high right now. And that's just me. That's just me personally. Me personally, I don't think it warrants a buy. And I believe it's going to be the full price. It's not going to be like $40, so I think it's going to be like full price. Not really feeling spending $60 on a game that's essentially Storm 2 with more characters. And some minor tweaks. Because yeah, the main annoying thing about Storm 2 is like the stupid missions and story mode. But just like every other fighting game, who the fuck cares considering the majority of the time you're going to spend on the game is going to be on multiplayer anyway. And it's not changing the gameplay on that, we just have more characters. And most people aren't going to play as old school characters. At least characters that show up in the second one. Like, they're not going to play as old school fucking soccer versus new school soccer. It's not going to do that. Most people are going to pick New School Sakura over Old School Sakura for many reasons. The only people I can see them picking for Part 1 is probably Haku, Zabuza, people who didn't show up in Part 2. Like, essentially, the Sound 4 will probably be picked along with Kimimaro, and you'll probably have, like, pretty much all the characters that we can't play as now. Essentially. And whatever. Like, legitimately, whatever. It's not a big enough deal. They're not, to me, it's just not worth it. And then, you know what? I'm not even going to put this in the title, but I'll go ahead and tell you right now. I'll say my little piece about Bleach Soul Ignition. I heard NIS picked up the game. We're going to get the dub for it. And it is, I think it's coming out actually really soon. I believe. It's coming out really fucking soon, actually. Like in the next few months. Not even like next. I remember it because the thing is, I fell out of Bleach. Like, for anyone who wants to know, I stopped reading Bleach like 2 months ago. So, in terms of story, I have no idea what the fuck is happening in the Fullbring, nor do I care anymore. Like, the last thing I read in the Fullbring shit was the Dirty Boots thing, like the Dirty Boots trip. No, that's a lie. The last thing I read was the Tsukishima Ichigo fighting him on the building crap, and then his powers in his Fullbring fucking up, where his Fullbring looks like his Bankai, but it isn't. And he doesn't know how to use it, so he's fucking himself over, and Ginjo kind of saves him, in some sense, or at least protects him, I guess is the best way. I think he gets trapped in the PSP of the little kid. That's the last thing I saw. But besides that, the game itself, I've seen, is essentially a hack and slash. And I just finished beating Bayonetta, for anyone who doesn't follow me on my Facebook page, which you can do so down there. So, I don't have a huge issue with hack and slashes. It's just for Bleach, I don't care, because it's Bleach. Like, it's just like the Naruto and Dragon Ball Z games. If you, the biggest appeal about these anime-based games is either for the fans who fell in love with the story, or the people who don't know about the game. Considering I know about Bleach, and I'm pretty knowledgeable, and for the majority of Bleach, it's gonna be more if I give a shit about the story, and I don't. Obviously, I don't anymore. I don't. And that's really one of the main reasons why I'm probably not going to touch the game, because I don't care about the story. So half the game is essentially gone. Essentially, all I would, like, half of the main enjoyment of Bleach would be for the fans who really want to play these boss battles that you never got to see in the fucking anime, or never got to see in the manga. I don't care about those fights anymore. I don't care that they cut out the Yami fight. I don't care that they cut out a lot of the fights. I don't care that no one dies. I don't care about the hacks anymore. I don't care about the faults of Bleach, because Bleach to me is non-existent in terms of a show or even a gaming franchise that I really would give a shit about. You can make a Bleach game that is essentially like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 or the Dragon Ball Z games, which have good fighting setups, and I still wouldn't give a shit. Because a lot of the major things in anime games are plots, and if I don't give a shit about the plot anymore, it's not going to matter. And that's essentially how the Bleach game is, and I feel bad because I do want to support NIS. But hell, I'm buying their box sets for the anime anyway, so it's not a big deal. And besides this Bleach, you're going to get some fans. You're going to get a decent amount of fans picking that game up anyway. But me personally, I just don't give a shit. I believe in terms of games, that is all the main ones that need to be talked about. I'm going to try to do more gaming videos. I'm probably going to upload a few Kingdom Hearts fights and do commentaries over them just to see if I can get away with it before I try doing it with Catherine or whatever other, or Arkham City or Generations or Rayman Origins when I get those games. So you may be seeing those in the future too. But that is it for this gaming. I guess I'll tell this like gaming thoughts on such, and put the game titles in. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed. Life's a game, play to win. If you like the video, like it. If you want to favorite it. And if you want to subscribe, thank you. And I thank every one of you who give comments and feedback, negative or not. So, until later guys, life's a game, play to win. Peace.